Kambanda is actually a Bantu word, meaning priest healer. Okay? So a Kambandero, what they do is they summon and work with these spirits. And each person who is a Kambandero, they have an Eshu and they have a Pombajera. My Eshu actually carries a gun. My Eshu carries a gun. He also carries thunderstones. He protects situations like mysteries. He deals with ancient texts. He loves ancient texts. He loves card games. When I got marked, I noticed that I started liking card games because that's what my Eshu likes. And Pomajira, they both like to deal with people who may have psychological challenges. This Eshu and Pomajira like to help people who have psychological challenges, okay, all the way to depression and everything else. So I got the Eshu and Pomajira that lifts people's spirits up. Eshu also has, he's my Eshu. He likes to have people who are separated for no good reason, and I'll bring them back. Okay? My Pombajira, she likes to dance. She likes champagne. He likes gin. I can't drink the gin, so he drinks it for me. Also, my Eshu and Pombajira like to be by the water because they are from the nation of the ocean shores. You see? So, which takes me into my next stage. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kemet today. As you can see, I don't have a bunch of statues that are meant to rule around. But we don't need the statues to connect with the principle. So a little bit of history is that I am initiated as a priest in the Temple of the White and Gold Lotus under Baba Heri Khepra, who is also a student of Baba Heru Ankran Samaj Ptah. Baba Heru Ankran Samaj Ptah is still alive at the Shrine of Ptah, but Heri Khepra is now in spirit. He transitioned about 2.5 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe about 3 years ago. So, when it comes to working with African spiritual science, you always work with the ancestors first. And if you go on the walls, in the temple walls of Kemet, sometimes you'll see depictions of them pouring a libation. Libations are very ancient and they're utilized throughout Africa. So whenever we want to do a prayer, we start our prayers out by pouring water. That is the African way. And throughout Africa, we'll see that water is considered a divine, holy substance, which is the gateway to spirit. If you look on my ancestral altar, you notice that I have water, 9 glasses. Or should I say, there are actually 8 larger size glasses other than the offering glasses in which I have. And then you have the goblet with the ankh in it. This would be equivalent to what they call a bovada in certain spiritist groups, where they don't actually have a crucifix. I choose the ankh. Why an ankh?
More relevant to our roots.
Indeed. But here's the thing. The cross is also found throughout Africa. The cross is actually an ancient symbol found throughout the ancient world. And it represents the 4 cardinal points: earth, wind, fire, and water. As well as the top of the pyramid. When you're looking at the top of the pyramid, you'll see the cross, the X.
So someone told me it meant peace to the divine spirit, the cross also.
The cross means a lot of things.
charge those up over there? The onks on the ground? The metal ones?
What about those now?
Can we charge them up? We bring them over here?
Sure, we can. But we'll do that. We'll do that soon. So the cross represents the four cardinal points. It represents being a master of the material realm: earth, wind, fire, and water. The cross, a lot of times, even in the Catholic Church, they may do this for protection. But they do this in a lot of occult traditions too. Kabbalistic cross, Ata, Malkut, Vega Buddha, Vega Dula, Leolam, Amen. So when they do that, they visualize the light down to the belly button, and then you visualize the light from the shoulder, right shoulder, the left shoulder. And what you've done is you just activated the cross within you. But when you get into African spiritual science, the cross or the crossroads are sacred. The crossroads deal with Eshu, Alegba, but also other crossroads type beings that have beings cross over or communicate with the other side, like Ampu. In some cases, according to Ron Abrahamin, Heru as well. Why? Because Heru also has to make decisions. So when you go into a situation where you have to make a decision, you're at the crossroads, which is why rituals are done at the crossroads to open up ways so that we make the best decision that will work and serve us on our highest good. So let's say you're dealing with confusion. The crossroads are also linked to Sebek as well as Haru. Sebek. Sebek is a guardian of the crossroads, or the guardian of the thresholds, according to the Kemetic tradition. It's a crocodile. Shechem uses the jackal for Sebek. But mainly, he's a crocodile. The crocodile would attack those trying to sneak into the back ways in the Kemet. So he was the guardian of the thresholds.
Shechem uses the what for? Can you explain that?
I'm sorry?
You said Shechem uses something for. You just said that. Can you explain that?
Okay.
I mean, Shechem
uses
energy, right?
No. It's Ron Ephraim.
Oh.
The one who wrote the Metal Netter. My bad.
Okay.
Shechem. That's the name of it. That's the brother who is actually the head of the SRSS Society. So that's just using his example. But he, a lot of times he shows a jackal. That's pretty unique from all the other Kemetic studies that I have participated in. But I say maybe it's because it has something to do with Ampu and Apuat. One being the Pathfinder, and one also being the helping to banish the SAR's body up. But he also keeps the crossroads, he guards the crossroads, but he also helps one cross over. So in the desert, if you're looking for water, you'll follow a jackal, and a jackal will lead you to an oasis. Something else a jackal will do, though. Jackals are known to eat the dead, which is why they bury the dead in tombs to keep the jackal from getting to them, which is why you see Anubis, aka Ampu, associated with the dead. It was considered a bad thing for one's body to be devoured by a jackal. Eventually they learned to mummify. What is the purpose of a mummy? The mummy now is not only for preservation, but also the mummy represents the person having been transformed into a shrine. So now you can leave offerings to the mummy and pour libations to the Ka. The Ka is the double that each and every one of us have. So basically, what I did when I called upon the ancestors, right? I called upon their Ren, which is their name, and I fed their Ka. All this food is to feed the Kas of those ancestors so that they can be active on the earth. So when somebody pours water and they feed your Ka after you've left, what that means is that your spiritual energy can still work in the physical plane. When somebody feeds your Ka, which is your spirit double, they give it food, they give it liquid, they give it sustenance. Meaning now, that energy is being solidified so it can do physical work in the physical plane, which is one of the reasons why it was considered such a bad thing to be forgotten, because no one can call your name and feed your ka. Because in African traditions, it is good to be remembered and be written in a book of life so that your names could be called upon and you can continue to do the work in this plane long after you're physically departed.
Can I free my car on the same shrine with the Ifa? With the Ifa shrine? No.
That's something different. You'd want to separate that. You're going to separate. If you want to also work with your ka and develop your double, you can also start doing chi moves, qi gong, meditation, breathing meditation, and so forth, strengthening up your energy field. You see, because what happens is that when you die, parts of you separate into parts, you separate into components, right? So you have your ka, which is your spirit double. Then you got the other part of you that moves on, called the ba. The ba moves on, but the ka still remains. But it will dissipate if it is not fed.
So just a question, talking about ka and ba. So what the word Kabbalah, is that in connection to what you're talking about?
Kabbalah is a Hebrew word. Kabbalah literally means to pass something on, right? But it also contains the word ka, ba, and la. So you can look at that and see that as a possibility that it could be ka, ba, and halak, because the Kaaba, also you have the Kaaba, which is the cube. But the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic tree of life, contains the patterns of the sacred cube that they call Metatron's cube. And that sacred cube represents the rock in which Yeshua put his church upon, the stone. It's dealing with the elements, and it's also dealing with the potential of coming into being. So when you go into ancient Kemet, or you look over to a Kemetic museum, sometimes you'll see something called a cube statue. Who's heard of a cube statue? Whenever you get a chance, look up cube statue. Look up Egyptian cube statue. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a cube with little feet sticking out of it and a head on top. This represents a person of high status who are coming more into being. Because they're coming up, they're becoming more defined. At first, cube statues are made, and later on, more fully anthropomorphic statues, that is, human statues, with a complete standing up, arm, leg, arm, head. They're complete because it represents the person as being complete. But the cube statue represents the potential to become. The sacred cube. Each and every one of us have been cubes until we were chiseled and defined, or should I say refined. You see? So we want to go beyond the stages of being a cube. But the cube represents the 8 elements, or 8 signs. If you take a cube and unfold it, you'll have a cross. You fold a cross up, I'm talking about a cubical cross. You fold it into a cube. When the cross is facing up, it represents ascension. An upside down cross represents descension. These symbols were adopted by the church. Okay?
Yeah.
Most of your symbols that are used in the church were taken from the ancient world.
The ancient world.
Exactly. So basically, when you look at the cube, it's about becoming and transforming. And that is what we're forever doing. You're forever coming into being and transforming. Ra goes through the duat and is able to survive by constantly transforming and adapting. see, you gotta grow. You can't be the same. Because if you try to stay the same, you start declining. You start degenerating. You have to continue to adapt, transform, grow. This is what intelligent life does. So when everybody's talking about, well, I ain't never gonna change, I'm gonna keep it real. Well, I guess you can consider that non-intelligent life. Pardon me. If you are trying to evolve, you're in sync and harmony with nature, you're trying to grow. It's always developing and shifting. It doesn't stay the same. No. That's why it says everything moves, everything transforms. Everything is in constant flux. You see, we just learn how to go along with the flow. But not trying to stay the same. The thing about it is that if you're trying to stay the same all the time, you don't grow. And that's where you get the word Negro from. A Negro never grows. That's why they're always on their knees, because they don't grow. So, yes, they're on their knees. At least the cube statue is trying to develop into something. They're worse than a cube statue. They don't want to grow. They want to stay on their knees. This is why you got to rise up. That's why Haru means one who rises above, one who is above. Because Haru represents the spirit within the individual that rises to the occasion. It's where you get the word hero. How many heroes we got in this room?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There we go. Heroes. Harus and het Harus. Heroes. You see what I mean? So if you want to be the hero of your story, then you have to overcome the challenges in your life. But you got to figure out your constitution. That's why it says, know thyself. So that you know what is unique about you. So that you can get on the right path and fulfill your destiny. Not do what everybody else tells you to do. Everybody looks different for a reason. Now you can say it's all different mutations, but we're all transmuting, constantly transforming, growing, evolving, adapting, becoming better. That's what we're going to do. We're going to become better than we were yesterday. So you up your game. That's confirmation.
Yeah, I was thinking.
You up your game, right? Get a couple books, up your vocabulary, go to a couple seminars, get on your purpose in life. Be Haru. Be Het Haru. Be that. Come into being. Go from being a cube to a fully developed person, a fully developed human being. See, everybody wants to put the cart before the horse. Everybody running around talking about their God, and they still in the cubicle state. They have not developed yet. You got to earn that. You got to develop. You got to put yourself in a situation where you're not on your knees all the time. Okay? No more being a Negro. Now it's time to be the Haru and the Het Haru. Each and every one of us are conductors of energy. If you look at the word Ankh, the way it's spelled in the hieroglyphics, aka the middle letter, you got the water wave and you got the seed or the placenta, right? It goes like this. That's the hieroglyphics to make the Ankh. It's actually spelled N-K. That's how it's spelled. They don't really put the vowels in. It's Nkh. And then next to it, you got the symbol of the Ankh, right? That's the ideogram that goes next to the symbol, so that you understand what it represents. These are a phonetic value. The Ankh itself is the ideogram. When somebody says that the metal netter is all ideograms, they don't understand. The code of the metal netter has been cracked enough for them to understand that there are phonetic values to some of the letters. Okay? They're not all phonetic. A lot of them symbols actually go along next to the phonetics, kind of left brain and right brain in combination. That's how they wrote their script. That's why it's called the Medu Neter, because it's the language of the divine. It was the writings of the gods. Okay? And they all represented various glyphs were sometimes body parts, trees, animals, things you find in nature. The Medu Neter is their depiction of Mother Nature. In fact, the word netter and nature got the same consonants. Why do you think that is?
Matter and nature, because they're symbolic with the congruent.
They are congruent because nature is netter and netter is nature. Just remove the vowels, it's the same word. Okay? So yes, each and every one of us want to become supernatural. But before you tap into the supernatural, you got to deal with the natural. You don't put the cart before the horse. The tail doesn't wag the damn dog. You got to go in an order, sequence of things. You got to make plans and get them to work to a certain way. If you know that there's deadlines, and you have to figure out how you're going to maneuver. You see what I mean? So, yes, there is some calculating that's involved in decisions that we make. And then you have to be in balance with the heart and what the mind is saying. Because if you just go by the mind will come up with all kind of reasons to throw things out of proportion. If you don't balance and just live by the heart with no type of discernment, then you find yourself in all kinds of crappy relationships or in crappy situations. You have to have a balance. Keeping the heart light as a feather, my eye. Because with a heavy heart, you're denied your immortality. They call the heart the Ab. Spell it backwards, Ba. So what we are doing, the alchemy of our existence, is to make our hearts as light as the feather. Earlier, the sister mentioned about when are we going to get over this fear. I'm paraphrasing. But basically, when do we focus on that aspect of us that is inner peace? So we're constantly conducting energy. Each and every one of us are walking fields of electromagnetic energy. Proof of this, if everybody can put down your notes, and don't worry, I'm sure that you'll have time to experiment this as well. Put your hands out. Who remembers this?
Yeah, I remember that.
Open your hands, open and close them 16 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now bring your hands together. Pull them apart. Pull them apart. Push them together. Pull them apart. Feel the energy. Feel the pull. Some may feel a push. The more you work with conducting your force energy, chi movements and dancing, the more aware you become, the more stronger the energy between your palms will feel. I'll show you something else. Pay attention how your palms feel when you scan everybody in the room. Just scan everybody. Just scan each other with the palms of your hand. You can see with more than just your eyes. You can detect if somebody has a disease in their body or there's cancer or a tumor in their leg. You can detect that with the palm of your hands, from across the street.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I can feel the heat of the child
I was trying to say.
right in her womb.
Oh, wow.
You see?
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Oh,
You can see with more than your eyes. Okay?
Ashe.
You don't see because you have eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You have eyes because you.
See.
Go ahead, say it. You have eyes because you what?
See.
See.
Because you see. You understand? You can see with your whole body. If I was to have you close your eyes and I can do this, even though you cannot see it with your eyelids closed, you will still see it. And I can use that and put you in hypnosis and all kind of things. I can hypnotize you when your eyes are closed. So, do not be deceived by the five senses. Do not be deceived by the five senses. You've been educated to function with just those five senses. And not even cultivate common sense.
Yeah.
So each and every one of us have abilities that have been hidden from us, made invisible to us. We've been lied to, educated to believe that we're here to work our asses off for nothing.
Exactly.